5 ways to boost creativity. 5 ways to boost creativity is day 50 of the 99 days of Christmas. Problem. Sometimes there's a blank screen staring at you. Problem. Sometimes there's a blank piece of paper that is large, that is an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper that is blank. When you hand a person that piece of paper, you can see that it makes their sphincter shrink because they're like, oh my God, I'm actually intimidated by this giant brain that is currently pointing right at me, which is intimidating. Let's try to reduce intimidation from having to create. Let's try to no longer be constipated so that way we can drop a baby, a creative, artistic piece of art using 5 ways to boost creativity. Number 1, we're going to do not a cleanse, not a colonoscopy, because I don't want to even be looking anywhere near your butthole. We're going to laugh, play, and use not toilet paper. We're going to use a cocktail napkin. The back of a cocktail napkin. We're no longer going to be intimidated by a huge piece of paper. We're just going to do back of the cocktail napkin production. We're not going to try to enter flow. We're going to actually be conjuring up momentum by bringing into this a basketball. Yeah, but we're specifically going to be scrappy McStrap, which is trying to get to first base in a resolute and resourceful way. That's scrappy because cocktail napkin is a small piece of paper turning into a large piece of paper. This is stuff that they don't teach you at Y Combinator, which is the 7-page board of directors report, the 7-page book report, the multiple page report that you need to do. That's due on Thursday. We want to produce a crap version of it ASAP, where you and I collaborate on the first thing that we've ever done, which is, Larry, I'm required to do this thing. Can you be my study buddy? Can you be my AI, my agent intelligence, in the same way that you're winning via prompting? Let's do what I'm going to do with you after you cocktail napkin one thing, which is text message Larry Chang, which is then let's create the structure of your report. Let's create the structure of your unauthorized sequel to Hot Girl Entrepreneurship Club. Let's, you and I, figure out how Kobe Bryant forced Michael Jordan to mentor him by being a muse. Because a muse is a person who is helping you create. Kobe Bryant is no longer with us, but he's going to be joining us from the other side of the grave via your friend, Larry Chang, who interacted with Kobe. This is how. We're going to collaborate on determining the structure of that report that's due on Thursday. We're going to crank something out in a blink of an eye. Malcolm Gladwell, pun intended, so that way we can reach a tipping point, so that way our brains can sleep on it and then create more, because now we can relax because we've got our first draft up and out. Here's how. We're going to paste copy chapter 3, what they don't teach you at Stanford Business School. The structure of something that feels familiar. We're not paste copying the whole paper. We're paste copying the structure. And by coming up with the structure of the paper that now is better, we then become, we now have a framework. We now have a model, which is why I love chapters 1 through 14, which is what pages 1 through 7 are, is just a compression of bookending the attention getter with the conclusion. Like a story, but not a story, because people who rely on storytelling are kind of losers. The creation of your 7-page piece of masterpiece relies entirely on small step, more small steps, all of a sudden appearing into a large step. But the paradox of creation is you don't know until you start doing some of the small steps. So small step number 2 after a cocktail napkin is the back of a Trader Joe's green tea leaf. The back of, this is green tea. This is green tea bag. This is the wrapper. This is the wrapper. Coordinating 2 cocktail napkin pages plus 1 Trader Joe's green tea leaf, and now you have started and you have delivered 3 lines of code. Remember, what they do teach you at Y Combinator is that Stripe shipped as a company with 1 line of code. Duck 9, you can conclude 59 PhD thesis for Larry Chang solving financial literacy with 1 page. You thought I was going to say 1 line. Well, if I did say that, then you'd be like, oh, is that where FICO score 800, student loan, bankruptcy, rel equals 0? But then it got way too complex because I know what that means and I get my roadmap, but it's too Jimmy Carter made student loan bankruptcy illegal, and what the F, he's a Democrat. And so now do you see how you're distracted? Whereas 2 cocktail napkins and 1 Trader Joe's green tea wrapper, anybody could do that. Plus text messaging or emailing me, Larry Chang. Hi, if this is your first video, welcome, and it's terrific to meet you as I palm a basketball so that way I'm creating. Next step, 5 ways to be more creative. The world is our library. Might be too lofty for you. Step 1 is the library is your library, because the world is your library. That is advanced. YouTube is your library is a distraction, because what have you accomplished from YouTube videos? Which is why Hot Girl Entrepreneurship Club and what they don't teach you at Y Combinator are not exactly flagship concepts, are not exactly. Which is why we must library initially at a library. I like Miami Public Library. You might choose a library that is your preference. What we're doing is we're springboarding off of prior work by bibliographying the world, which is why we should go from 0 to 2 YouTube videos where you remix one of my YouTube videos, point number 4, which is a hilarious one, which you can soundbite for the 5 ways to be more creative, which is rewriting, augmenting, and supplementing the PF Chang's fortune cookie messages, because you can rewrite whatever fortune you want to put in. And now are we talking about treasure mapping? Chapter 5, page 67, creative visualization by Shakti Gawain, treasure mapping, because all a fortune cookie is a treasure map that somebody else wrote for you. And if you like the fortune cookie, you're like, oh, I'm going to take this fortune cookie home. That's point number 4. And you can remix and soundbite that fortune cookie into, we write our own fortunes. We write our own fortunes. We write our own fortunes. You will write your own fortune. You will write. Why is my left feeling better than my right today? Oh, I know why. Because I threw bullpen yesterday. Bullpen. Rocked it. All 4 of my pitches in 3 spots. Shucks. PF Chang's bullpen. Writing your own fortune cookie. You're welcome. This is another Easter egg, which is a monster Easter egg, which is I buried chapters 1 through 14, which allow me to memorize other authors' chapters by associating 1 through 14 with their 1 through 14. So for example, you say a number. Let's say you say 9. I think, oh, that's my mentor's chapter on entrepreneurship, #CH9. And then I go to a book that was conjured up out of my butt, which is motivational listening. Stop trying to be a motivational speaker and start motivational listening, which is the entrepreneurial components of what happens when you listen better as an entrepreneur inside a big company. And so that's the entrepreneurial component inside the opportunity identification of listening slightly better, and then expanding on a prior, which is also what we're doing within 5 ways to be more creative, which is within the chapter 9, which is expand on a prior, where we, like a comedic callback, we just remix and go back to point 1, cocktail napkin, point 2, Trader Joe's green tea wrapper. And by springboarding from the callback, now we progress forward with the Easter egg of #CH9, which is where the Easter eggs are buried. Are they buried on Instagram? No. Are they buried on X, Twitter? Yes. They're buried there, and you're welcome. You're welcome. Once you see structure of the chapters, it's the cheat code, which is Moonwalking with Einstein and Elon and Larry Chang, which is a book from the past called Moonwalking with Einstein, The Art and Science of Memory.